For years, Tesla Bot was treated like a demo, a stage prop, a future promise. But that just changed, because Tesla Bot just got its first real job. And once a robot starts earning money, everything about the economy shifts. Until now, Optimus lived in a safe category: interesting, impressive, but optional. It could walk, it could carry objects, it could follow instructions. None of that threatened the real world. But the moment a humanoid robot performs productive labor, the conversation changes completely. This is no longer about technology. This is about economics. A robot that works is not a gadget. It is an asset. And Tesla did not give Optimus a job by accident. They chose the one role that exposes the biggest weakness in human labor. The one role where consistency, repetition, and endurance matter more than creativity. Because Tesla is not trying to impress investors, Tesla is testing whether a robot can replace paid work, and the answer came faster than anyone expected. The job Tesla gave Optimus. Tesla did not assign Optimus a symbolic role. They did not put it on stage. They did not ask it to wave, dance, or entertain. They put it to work inside a real Tesla facility. The job was simple on paper, but brutal in reality. Repetitive material handling. Long hours, zero margin for error. This is the kind of work humans burn out on fastest. A kind of job with high turnover, constant retraining, rising wage pressure. Optimus was tasked with moving components, organizing inventory, and performing structured tasks that never change but must be done thousands of times per day. No applause, no shortcuts, no breaks. And that is exactly why this job matters, because this role exposes the core weakness of human labor. Humans are adaptable, but inconsistent. Humans are intelligent, but expensive to scale. Humans require rest, motivation, and replacement. Optimus does not. The robot performs the same task, at the same speed with the same precision for the same duration every single shift. This is the first time Tesla has allowed Optimus to operate where mistakes have real cost. Inside a production environment, alongside real workers, with real output expectations. That is the line between experimentation and deployment. And once a robot can handle repetitive labor reliably, the implications extend far beyond one factory. Because this job is not unique. It exists in warehouses, distribution centers, retail backrooms, manufacturing plants millions of times over. Tesla did not choose this job because it was easy. They chose it because it scales. And that brings us to the uncomfortable question this test raises. If a robot can do this job reliably, why would a company ever hire a human for it again? Why this job breaks the labor equation. This job exposes a truth most companies avoid saying out loud. Labor is no longer competing on skill. It is competing on reliability. For decades, wages were the balancing mechanism. If a job was hard, repetitive, or unpleasant, companies paid more. That system is breaking. Because wages do not fix fatigue, inconsistency, absenteeism, training cycles, Optimus removes all four. The robot does not negotiate. It does not quit. It does not slow down on bad days. It does not require onboarding every 6 months. And that changes how companies calculate value. A human worker costs money every hour. A robot costs money once, then depreciates predictably. When executives look at that comparison, the question changes. It is no longer, how much do we pay someone to do this job? It becomes, how quickly does this machine pay for itself? Once that shift happens, wages stop being the deciding factor. Consistency becomes the currency. Optimus delivers identical output, every shift measurable performance, continuous improvement through software updates. That last point matters more than most people realize. A human worker improves slowly and individually. A robot improves instantly and collectively. When one Optimus learns something, every Optimus benefits. That means productivity does not rise linearly. It compounds. This job proves something uncomfortable. The question is not whether robots can work. The question is how long companies can justify paying humans for work machines can do better. And once that logic enters the boardroom, it does not leave. Because this job is not special, it is one of millions. Bot economics, when labor becomes an asset. This is where everything changes. For most of modern history, labor has been a recurring expense. You pay wages, you pay benefits, you pay taxes, and when the worker leaves, the cost resets. Optimus breaks that model. A working robot is not an expense line. It is a capital asset. It has a fixed upfront cost, predictable depreciation, measurable output per hour once deployed. The question is no longer about payroll. It is about return on investment. If Optimus replaces a role that costs a company $50,000 per year in wages, benefits, and turnover costs, the math becomes brutally simple. Even a robot priced at a premium pays for itself in a short, finite window. After that, every hour it works is margin. This flips the incentive structure for employers. With human labor, costs rise over time, output fluctuates, replacement is constant. With robotic labor, costs decline as software improves, output is stable, replacement is rare. And here is the part that makes this irreversible. Robots do not age the way humans do. They do not lose capability, they gain it. Each software update improves efficiency. Each data cycle improves precision. Each deployment improves the entire fleet. Human labor scales linearly. Robot labor scales exponentially. That is why this first job matters more than any demo video. It proves that Optimus is not a concept. It is a unit of economic production. Once companies can assign a robot to a role and forecast output the way they forecast machinery, labor planning changes forever. And when labor planning changes, so does hiring. Because the next question executives ask is not about replacing one job. It is about how many roles follow.
The second-order effect.
This is where the impact spreads beyond one robot. The first-order effect is obvious. One robot replaces one job. The second-order effect is what reshapes the economy. When robots enter the workforce at scale, wages stop setting the floor for productivity. Machines do. That forces a shift across three layers at once. First, wage pressure changes direction. Jobs that are repetitive, predictable, and rules-based stop competing against other humans. They compete against capital. Wages in those roles do not rise anymore. They flatten, then they compress, not because companies are cruel, but because the alternative does not ask for raises. Second, job design changes. Roles get split. Anything repetitive goes to machines. Anything requiring judgment, creativity, or emotional intelligence stays human. That creates fewer generalist jobs and more specialized ones. The middle thins out. Third, productivity detaches from headcount. For decades, growth meant hiring. More output required more people. Robotic labor breaks that link. A company can grow output without growing payroll. That was impossible before. This is why Tesla giving Optimus a real job matters so much. It is not about one factory role. It is about proving that labor can be scaled like software. Once that proof exists, executives everywhere start asking the same question. Not should we use robots, but how long can we afford not to? Because when competitors reduce costs permanently instead of temporarily, the market forces everyone else to follow. And that leads to the most uncomfortable consequence of all. If robots become standard workers, what happens to humans who only know how to do the jobs robots now perform better? That question is no longer theoretical. It is operational. The human fork. This is the moment where the future splits. When robots like Optimus enter the workforce, humans face a fork in the road. Not everyone is replaced. But not everyone survives unchanged either. The dividing line is not education level. It is not age. It is not intelligence. It is task type. Humans continue to win in roles that require judgment under uncertainty, creativity without rules, emotional intelligence, responsibility for outcomes. Not just actions, these roles are difficult to automate because they are not repeatable in clean patterns. But roles defined by repetition, consistency, and physical endurance face a different reality. If a job can be written as a procedure measured by output per hour taught once and repeated forever, then a robot will eventually do it better. Not because robots are smarter, but because they are tireless. This does not mean humans become useless. It means the value of human labor shifts. Humans stop being the engine. They become the designers, supervisors, integrators, and decision makers. The uncomfortable truth is this: some jobs will disappear entirely, not because of greed, not because of policy, but because the economic logic no longer supports them. And this transition does not happen slowly. It accelerates. Once one company replaces repetitive labor with robots and lowers costs permanently, competitors must follow or fail. This creates a chain reaction across industries: warehousing, manufacturing, logistics, retail operations. The first real job given to Optimus is the proof point. It shows that the transition has moved from theory to execution. And once execution begins, there is no rewind button. The only remaining question is not whether this happens. It is how society responds when productive labor is no longer scarce. The surplus question. This is the question no one is ready to answer. What happens when machines create more value than humans can earn through work? For most of history, productivity was limited by human effort. More output required more people. More people required more jobs. Optimus breaks that chain. When robots handle repetitive labor, productivity scales without hiring. Output increases, costs drop, margins expand, but wages do not rise with it. This creates a surplus, not just of goods, but of capacity. Factories can produce more than before. Warehouses can move more inventory. Services can operate around the clock. The limiting factor is no longer production. It is distribution and access. Who gets the value created by machines? Companies see profits rise. Consumers see prices fall. But workers, displaced from repetitive roles, face a gap. This is where the conversation usually turns political. But the truth is simpler. Technology does not destroy value. It redistributes it. The surplus created by robotic labor forces societies to make choices they have avoided for decades. How work is defined, how income is generated, how dignity is preserved when labor is no longer required for survival. Tesla, giving Optimus a real job, forces this issue into the open. Not in theory, not in a lab, but in daily operations. Once machines can reliably perform paid work, the old assumption breaks. That assumption was this: if someone wants to earn a living, there will always be work for them. That promise no longer holds universally, and when a promise breaks, systems must adapt. The first real job of Tesla Bot is not the end of human work, but it is the end of pretending work will always look the same. Which leads to the final question this story raises. If robots can work, earn, and improve indefinitely, what becomes the role of humans in an economy built on abundance? The new human role. This is where the story stops being about robots and starts being about people. When machines handle repetitive labor, humans are not pushed out of the economy. They are pushed up the value chain. The role of humans shifts from execution to intention, from doing tasks to deciding which tasks matter. In a world where robots like Optimus perform predictable work, human value concentrates in areas machines still struggle with: defining goals instead of following instructions, navigating ambiguity instead of fixed rules, caring for people instead of optimizing processes, creating meaning instead of repeating motion. This is not a downgrade. It is a transition. For the first time in history, productivity is no longer limited by human effort. That frees humans to focus on things productivity never measured well. Education becomes less about job training and more about judgment, ethics, and creativity. Work becomes less about survival and more about contribution. This does not happen automatically. It requires adjustment. But every major technological shift has forced society to redefine human purpose. Agriculture reduced the need for hunters. Industry reduced the need for farm labor. Automation reduced the need for manual assembly. Each time, new roles emerged. Optimus taking its first real job is the start of the next shift. Not because robots replace humans, but because they remove the necessity of human labor in certain roles. That creates space to rethink how people spend time, space to rethink how value is created, space to rethink what success actually means. This is why Tesla Bot getting its first real job changes everything. It proves that work itself is no longer the scarce resource, meaning is, and in an economy where machines can do the work, the most valuable human skill becomes deciding what is worth doing at all. Finally, this is not a story about a robot. It is a story about a threshold. For years, humanoid robots existed safely in the future. Interesting, but distant. Impressive, but optional. The moment Tesla Bot was given a real job, that safety disappeared. Because work is the foundation of the modern economy, and when machines begin to participate in it, everything else follows. This first job proves three things at once. Robots can perform productive labor. Reliably, labor can be treated as an asset. Not just an expense, and economic value is no longer tied exclusively to human effort. That combination has never existed before. Tesla did not deploy Optimus to make headlines. They deployed it to answer a question executives everywhere are already asking. Can a machine replace paid work in the real world? The answer is no longer theoretical. It is operational. This does not mean humans disappear. It means the rules change. The future does not belong to those who work the hardest. It belongs to those who decide what work is worth doing. Now here is the real question. If robots can do repetitive jobs better, cheaper, and indefinitely, should humans keep doing them? Or should humans move toward roles machines cannot replace? Comment humans adapt or comment robots take over. I want to see where you stand. And if you want the next breakdown, the one that explains how much a single Tesla bot could earn per year and who actually owns that value, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on, because the next phase is not about robots getting jobs. It is about who gets paid when they do. I will see you in the next one.